People of YouTube, F-MAN CRITIC back, and listen, there's something I gotta tell you. Last review I just did, the Ghostbusters 2016, listen, I had to temporarily remove that damn review, because I had a copyright thing, and I had to shorten down the clip, and point is, it was just this whole thing, really, that had to delay this review. So, listen, for this review, I'm not risking it. I have to play it safe. As much as I want to show clips, I don't want to really risk it. So, for this Ghostbusters review, not going to show any clips from these two movies, alright? So, this review, I got to play it safe, alright? So, yeah, this entire review, no clips from the movies. You're just going to have to describe it in the way how I tell you the story and my thoughts on it. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. So, what are these two movies about? And they are technically like sequels. Although they are reboots of the show, of the movies, they are reboots, but they are technically at the same time Ghostbusters 3 and 4 as well. So, what is this about? How did Ghostbusters come back from the dead and is now haunting us? Well, the movie kind of starts off pretty crazy, with like a dark storm happening and a proton blast and a car are driving away and the silhouette. And remember, and don't forget, since Harold Ramis is dead, they couldn't get him back, So it's clear that the man and that we see in the shadows is at least an actor, or at least someone who's pretending to be Harold Ramis, but since his face is hidden in the shadows, we can't really make out who it is, but we do know it is Egon. He gets the ghost meter, and clearly something really is happening, something big, something huge, something so massive, it sadly takes Egon Spangler. The ghost meter goes crazy, knowing that Egon Spangler is now a ghost. Anyway, it cuts to a family hinting that Egon had a child who eventually had children. Yeah, apparently Egon had a daughter, which never got brought up in the last movie, actually. I heard some websites that the child of Egon was around during Ghostbusters 2, apparently. Apparently, Egon, got hitched with a woman. Well, not hitched, but did knock up a woman, and, and eventually that woman growed up, got married, and had 2 children, and apparently she lost her husband, and apparently, and one of her children is played by Finn Wolf. Wouldn't be the first time he did something Ghostbusters related, am I right? Anyway, and his sister named Phoebe, who is just like her gran and a father. She's always experimenting. She's always, she's always like being a scientist. Anyway, the mom's got news from her landlord that she's been evicted, and they are forced to move to the house we just saw at the beginning of the movie. Apparently, immediately there's some earthquakes going on, and Phoebe finds the ghost PKA meter, and we see a familiar face. It's Janine. Janine makes the picture. She makes a cameo appearance, and basically gives us fan service of how she knew Egon. Anyway, and during at a restaurant, Trevor develops a crush on this girl, and he tries to get a job, and and most of the movie is about Phoebe discovering her grandfather's work, discovering she makes a friend nicknamed Podcast, who makes podcasts about paranormal, while her brother, on the other hand, is just trying to get a date with this girl. So they both stumble across Egon's lair, realizing what he was. Well, the entire town thinks he was just a sad, lonely old man who was a dirt farmer, when really he was preparing for something. They all discover about Ecto-1 on the proton packs, everything, and from his commercials. Phoebe's mother doesn't really want to talk about her dad because he wasn't really in her life. I've been there, and they discovered a ghost trap, and their teacher, who's a really cool dude, and eventually goes on a date with Phoebe's mother. They test it out, but they accidentally let out a ghost, and the entire movie is about like fixing up a few proton packs, and then they go out basically to this new version of Slimer called Muncher. Don't worry, Slimer's still around, he's just not in this episode. But because of the property damage they committed, they're now in jail, and Phoebe gets her one phone call, and instead of calling her mom, instead she calls Ray. Apparently Ray's still around in New York. As for Winston and Peter, they took off, they separated, but Ray, instead of hearing about his old friend, he said he can rot in hell, because apparently Egon, he went a little something, and then he took all the proton packs, all the traps, everything, and left, and that's why Ray kind of has this like little but when he finds out he's dead, he's like, oh, like he knows he misses him deep down. Anyway, stuff happens. And eventually it looks like the work of Gozer. But wait, wasn't Gozer gone? Well, apparently there was this dude who liked Gozer, and he built a portal for them to return, and Egon's been trying to keep Gozer at bay. That's why he took all the traps, he took all the proton packs. He built a machine to try and prevent Gozer from coming back, but because of all the inconveniencing, it's been getting stronger. That's the reason why there was earthquakes and all and just all in all, and since he's gone, Gozer has a chance to escape. And for some reason, Stay Puft Marshmallow Mans come to life. Not a big one, but little ones. Don't know why, but hey, it makes for marketable reasons. And they're kind of cute. They don't seem that threatening. Hell, they're even really cool with being cooked alive, apparently. Anyway, big climactic happens where Phoebe's teacher gets possessed by the gatekeeper or the keymaster. Or is it... Again, get those things confused. And Phoebe's mother, she finds out that her dad did love her and kept precious pictures and actually did care about her deep down. Haven't been there though. Oh well, that doesn't matter. Anyway, but she gets possessed by one of the dogs. Well, the kids discover about Gozer's return, about like the stuff that happened in Ghostbusters. It isn't the first time Gozer has tried to make a return. Anyway, ghosts attack. The gatekeeper and the keymaster are returned, and Gozer, they're back, and but and there's a big car chase scene. There's some stuff going on. It's really cool, really good fan service. Just all in all, fantastic. And then at some point, Gozer looks like they're getting stronger. But then the OG original Ghostbusters are back. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and just except for Harold Ramis, all of them are back with the delightful reaction of the Stay Puffs, basically depicting what the audience thought when they saw them. And basically, Ray didn't screw up on the whole. Gozer asked them, are they God? And at first, Ray did hesitate. And seriously, after all these years, he forgot. But he does reply with yes. They prepare their proton packs. And they prepare to blast them. But they look like they're not going to win. Until Phoebe steps in, donning her granddad's proton pack. And prepare to fight Gozer. It looks like Phoebe's outnumbered. It looks like all hope seems lost. Because they have like a massive blast. And literally, I guess you could say they have a blast, but it looks like Phoebe's not having a blast until a hand comes into the rescue, and not just some hand. Turns out, and you're not going to believe this, the ghost of Egon Spangler returns to help his granddaughter. It's amazing, in seeing the ghost of Egon. Just how did they do it? How did that happen? I guess even beyond the grave, Harold Ramis will always be Egon Spangler. I'm just messing. They use CGI. Yeah, apparently instead of hiring a different guy to do Egon, great choice by the way, great choice to not replace him. Thank God, because this would have been super disrespectful. Instead they just took his image and they just used CG to age him up, and then basically. Egon's ghost is basically just a CG model of Harold Ramis. Again, and I gotta admit, it was very tasteful that what they did. It's so respectful. They didn't replace him. They didn't They didn't do anything to dishonor his memory. Good work, I say. It looks like the filmmakers and the filmmakers and the cast and basically everyone who was in this movie did have respect for Harold. Well, okay, but I do feel like there was one people who didn't at least have any form of respect for Harold, you know, because funny thing, when this movie came out, there was a line of toys for the goddamn Ghostbusters, right, including a toy of Phoebe and the ghost of Ray, yeah, and they called it the family that bus goes together, yeah, clearly the filmmakers did have respect for Harold, but clearly the marketing or the toys or the people who made the toys didn't. Yeah, like, I gotta say, that's kind of disrespectful, making an action figure of a ghost of a dead man. That's just, in my opinion, I think that's kind of disrespectful in a way, in my opinion, you know. Oh, I think that's kind of disrespectful in a way to make a toy that's based off a character's ghost, who's also dead. You know, that's just who's dead in real life. That's just really, you know, just. Anyway, they managed to we get to see all four of the Ghostbusters together, and they all take a good look at Egon, you know. And, you know, turns out the farm that Egon was working on, it wasn't just a dirt farm. It was a trap. There was loads of traps in the ground. But it kept malfunctioning. That's why Egon got defeated. Because it didn't work. But luckily, it managed to work. All the ghosts get sucked back in. Gozer is finally defeated once and for all. And, you know, everyone just gives their respects and final goodbyes to Egon. But first, Ray, he gets to meet Podcast. Turns out he's a fan of his channel. Well, Winston gets to take a good look at Ecto 1, seeing it needs to be fixed up, and Trevor gets to meet his grandfather for the first time. Phoebe, they already met, but, I forgot to mention, there's scenes in the movie that I forgot to mention, where Phoebe puts on chessboards, and the ghost of Egon moves those chests, and Phoebe plays along, and during the times, Egon's actually helping repair the equipment, so, in a way, he's technically bonding with them, just without them sort of knowing, which I thought was kind of sweet. And I think this scene is just very sweet and very wholesome. I just absolutely adore it. And as for Phoebe's mother, she says her goodbyes to her father one last time. Well, and then Egon, he fades away. And, the screen cuts to black with the words of, "For Harold." Well, that was good. The movie ends with New York, with the theme song playing. We get this after scene credits with Dana and Peter. It looks like they're finally married. I wish we got to see Oscar, actually, or see if they had a kid of their own as well. And then we see Janine and Winston. Turns out Winston has some plans for the Ghostbusters to come back. Turns out he's been investing. And turns out it comes in the nick of time, because as the ghost traps, it looks like it's going on. And that was Ghostbusters Afterlife. And oh my god, that was great. Not only was it a great way to bring back the franchise and not only pay your respects to Harold Ramis, unless you're the guys who made the toys, and all in all, I just absolutely thought it was a great reboot. I honestly adored the actors. They got some good actors in there. I do love the character Phoebe. She looks just like Harold. She looks just like Egon, if Egon was a teenage girl. And, you got, the personality and the need for science. And all in all, Phoebe was great, Oh, and I thought it was pretty cool that they got Finn Wolf to do Trevor. Again, not the first time Finn Wolf has involved himself in Ghostbusters. And and all in all, the characters were great, and it was fun to see all the original OG characters come back. Again, this movie does what Ghostbusters did with the fan service and made it extra better, extra fantastic, and just all in all, Ghostbusters Afterlife was a great start to the Ghostbusters coming back from the dead. Okay, and then a couple of years later, we get another sequel, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, people are right now mixed on this movie. A lot of people say it has its problems. A lot of people just like, it's mixed, and even I'm a little mixed on it. Like, one thing, the number one complaint about this movie is that there are too many characters. Like, there are so many characters in this movie. Like, it's hard to keep track and hard to keep them all storylines with satisfying conclusions, and all in all, I don't blame them. Like, I don't blame you guys for having that complaint about them being too much characters. Like Finn, Trevor, his entire arc that he's trying to catch Slimer because he's causing, like, leaky roofs and, and really, he says he's 18, so he can technically go to college now, and not to mention, there's his crush, she makes a return. I don't know really much what she does, and as for the original OG Ghostbusters, for God's sakes, Bill Murray, he only shows up in, like, the third act, just because he was in the poster. Like, don't get me wrong, I love seeing all the Ghostbusters come back, but, like, dude, like, if you were gonna show up, at least show up earlier in the movie, am I right? And, the only one who didn't come back was Sigourney Weaver's to reprise her role as Dana Barry. Dana. Anyway, Slimer comes back, and, there are just too many characters to follow up. Hell, even Walter Pack returns, but I'm glad he kind of returns. Like, seriously, where the hell was he in Ghostbusters 2? Like, seriously, where was he? Because apparently, now, he's the mayor of New York now. He's now the goddamn mayor, apparently. Yeah. Anyway, so apparently the Spangler family, equipped with Phoebe's teacher, who I'm assuming is now her stepfather now, or at least it's looking like that. They're all together. They're all one big happy family. They're hunting ghosts. They're hunting ghosts, and, well, they got a lot of property damage, and, well, like I said, Walter Pack being the mayor, he basically just acts like the classic Walter Pack, a massive unlikable asshole, but he is 100% right, because he points out that how Phoebe is 15, and yet she's technically she's underage to be a Ghostbuster. She is dealing with dangerous equipment again. Again, classic Walter Pack. He hates the Ghostbusters, but his anger and justification is 100% right and accurate. But at the same time, he's a dick about it. Dickless. Anyway, we also get some good in-jokes about the theme song and all the merchandise. Turns out the merchandise they sold in real life, they made as an in-joke of when the Ghost Populars became popular. Anyway, Phoebe's arc in this movie is that since she's not 18, and since she's technically still a minor, her family doesn't really need her that much, for the thing, and they don't want to get in trouble with the mayor. So she tries playing in chess all alone in Central Park. And when I first saw this scene, I honestly assumed that, like, maybe they're going to bring back that CG version of Egon. Like, I know technically that would technically be a little disrespectful to Harold, because they only brought that's the CG model of Harold because, they needed a reason to wrap up his story and show us what happened to him and all that, and I know why they couldn't bring him back for the sequel, because they only used the CG version of Egon one time, okay, and I get that, but I honestly assumed how it was going, similar to the last movie. I thought it was going to be like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, I assumed, but no, there's a different ghost named Melody, who forms a bit of a friendship with Phoebe, but really, Melody, she's working for the bad guy. What's the bad guy's name? Zool, no, that's, Gola, damn it, I forgot the name. Point is he has a big backstory and is basically the main villain of the movie. Might honestly be just as bad as Gozer, Anyway, turns out the trap that they've been pouring in the ghosts, turns out the thing has been getting full, turns out. And turns out Winston has actually been investing to make his own other form of Ghostbusters headquarters, where they can actually suck a ghost out of inanimate objects for a while, and honestly, it's pretty cool. all seeing Winston use all of his money and resources to build this place and building then more and more equipment to use for ghost hunting. And anyway, this man comes in to Ray's shop and gives him this orb, which is definitely possessed. And apparently, this is where the villain is inside the orb. You see, the villain's end goal is to get out of the orb, retrieve his horns, and make New York a frozen empire. You know. And with the help of Melody, he manipulated Melody to help him. And so, you know, because apparently he needs someone living to turn into a ghost, to enchant this chant, to get him out of this damn ball. So, yeah, that's basically what happens in the movie. We get more fan service, like the ghost from the library, you know, make a return. And Phoebe, like the last movie, she goes in jail. Her mom and stepdad, you know, they kind of yell at her. They kind of have this bit of an argument thing that has, you know. And as for the man who gave Ray that orb, apparently he comes from a long line of fire masters. Apparently he can bend fire, and that's how they were able to put the dude in that orb. And as for Phoebe, like Melody finally convinced her to become a temporary ghost for them to chat. Because thankfully there's a machine that can suck ghosts out of something for 2 minutes. So you're telling me Phoebe's going to unalive herself, even if it is for 2 minutes, because when she becomes a ghost, it only lasts for 2 minutes. Once the 2 minutes are up, her ghost goes back into her body. But still, like when I first watched the scene, I honestly assumed she was going to be a ghost for the rest of the film. Like, that would have been messed up, if I'm being honest. Thankfully, it's only temporary. But you know, the incantation happened, and, you know, the monster, it's out of the orb, and it's going to turn New York into a frozen empire. But thankfully, Phoebe knows what to do. She melts down some brass from the fire pole and puts it on her proton pack to make it more powerful. Or Peter shows up, because, you know, because he's in the poster. Anyway, they fight at him, and, you know, at first it looks like they're gonna fail, but Melody, feeling remorse for what she did to her friend, she only did what she did because he promised him that if he did this, he would bring her family back or something, you know. But it wasn't worth it because he lied, you know. Anyway, they managed to fight off the monster. Fight off the thing. He manages to be useful. Yeah, there's a scene in the movie where he doesn't control his fire powers, but then there's like an off-screen thing where he does. It's some of this stuff in this movie is a bit rushed, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, and as for Crow, again, I am so sorry I don't know the name of the villain of this movie. I forgot, it slipped my mind. Crows. I know it begins with a K, I think. I know it begins with a K. Whatever, I'll just call him Ice Maker or whatever. Yeah, Ice Maker. Anyway, it's put into the trap, making it its new home. It's trapped for good. And you know, the people are saved and thankful. And, you know, at first Walter Pack, you know, he's gonna shut them down and all that. But due to the fact that everyone is loving them, he can't really do that. So it's really a lose-lose for Walter. Anyway, Phoebe's off to go ghost hunt with her family, and everyone appreciates everyone. On their arcs have been rushfully sorted or maybe saved for Ghostbusters 5, and that's basically Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Now, I can understand why a lot of people have mixed feelings about this movie. Some bits were rushed. Hell, there's a goddamn end credit scene in where tiny Stay Puft Marshmallow Men and steal a truck with more Stay Puft. Like, I honestly assumed a giant version of Stay Puft was going to come out of that thing, but it wasn't. But all in all, I did think the movie was pretty good. Yeah, there's too many characters and too many story arcs to follow, and you know, but all in all, I did enjoy it. I'm glad it came out. And you want to know something, the viewers who are watching this, you might be wondering, Finley, you just made like a bunch of Ghostbusters video in one night. What's the reason? Well, outside of, you know, respecting Harold Ramis's memory and, you know, considering the fact it's been 40 years since the original. Well, there's something very special about today, actually. Today is the 1-year anniversary of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and I thought to celebrate the movie, instead of doing Five Nights at Freddy's, instead I talk about Ghostbusters. And there's something I wanted to point out in a weird, strange way. Like, Harold Ramis passed away in 2014. You know what else came out in 2014? Five Nights at Freddy's. Like, I just find that to be very strange. I know that doesn't mean anything. There's no connection there. I just felt like pointing it out for some reason. I don't know why. I just felt like pointing that out. I'm not saying like, I mean, don't get me wrong. We all miss Harold Ramis. I miss Harold Ramis. He was the best. I mean, he was the best. You know, rest in peace. He was the best. I know I said that like 3 times, but I'm just saying, I find it very strange that the same year that he passed away was the same year Five Nights at Freddy's came out, and, you know, whatever. Not only are these reviews I did today were for his memory, but also because, it's also 4 years since the original Ghostbusters. So, again, I just wanted to, like, throw this in here. I just wanted to throw this information in here. Anyway, all 4 of these Ghostbusters movies were fun to review. Even if I did have a little trouble reviewing this one, still, it was fun to review all 5 of these Ghostbusters movies. And once again, for Harold, sorry, you know, it was fun reviewing all these movies, even if there wasn't a lot of clips in this review. But again, it was fun to review all these movies, even if I had trouble here and there. This is the F-Man Critic telling you to like, subscribe, hit notification. Have a happy Halloween, everyone.